Congress returns to Washington from their summer recess on Tuesday with a very full slate. Notably, they face an October 1st deadline to pass a bipartisan funding deal to avoid a government shutdown. Joining me now is congressional correspondent for the New York Times, Robert Jimison. Robert, good to see you. Thanks for making time. Now we're a month out from that shutdown deadline. So where do negotiations stand right now?
Negotiations are probably the biggest agenda item when Congress gets back. As you know, or as folks may know, Congress has been gone for just over a month. And when they left this big agenda item pretty much TBD. How are we going to fund the government for the next year? It's already very clear that they're not going to be able to get a full package of a government spending deal, all 12 of those bills done by the September 30th deadline. So instead, both Democrats and Republicans have to reach some sort of compromise on a temporary fix, a continuing resolution, or people hear the term CR thrown around a lot. That's going to be a temporary fix. It could be days, it could be weeks long, it could be months long that will extend the funding of the federal government. And negotiations are just going to get started. They've been happening behind the scenes during this break, but with everyone back in Washington, they'll really get going. Now, Republicans are going to need some Democrats, we believe, in order to get this over the finish line and reach some sort of deal to temporarily fund the government. But that could be a tricky proposition for Democrats to lend their support to Republicans when it comes to funding decisions, the administration and House Republicans and Senate Republicans have not shown willingness to work bipartisanly with Democrats on a number of issues. And the biggest thing that just happened is the White House, President Trump announced this procedural tool called a pocket rescission, where he's going to claw back nearly $5 billion of funding Congress already approved and say, we're going to cancel that. We're going to save the money and we're not going to do that. That has angered some Democrats who are now saying, why would we work with Republicans to find a temporary solution to keep the government funded if the administration is going to ignore that? So that's what we're coming into when we get into these negotiations, is just a lot of questions, a lot of uncertainty on how the two sides can come together to reach a funding patch before that deadline.
Robert, I have to ask you about the Epstein files. Obviously, so much interest in this story. Congress actually left town early over this. So how soon could we see a vote over releasing the files?
We could see a vote as soon as Wednesday, and so much interest mirrors so much action that we'll see on the Hill this week. You've got the two bipartisan members, Representative Ro Khanna, a Democrat, and Representative Thomas Massie, a Republican, who triggered that effort that sent the House home a little bit early before the recess began. That effort is going to come up to a vote as early as Wednesday, when you could see a vote to try to force the Department of Justice to release all the Epstein files unredacted from their investigation. We'll also see lots of other action. The House Oversight Committee says they'll be meeting with families and victims behind closed doors, and those same two lawmakers plan to hold a press conference, a public press conference, with victims who they say haven't spoken out so far, which kind of signals the level of interest and frustration with this process. Now that we're potentially going to see victims who haven't openly spoken out before are now motivated to do so, given the circumstances around how this investigation and the public releasing of information is going.
Fascinating. Okay, Robert Jimison, thank you.
Thank you.